The views expressed in this video are those of the individuals involved and not reflective of any organization or institution. This video is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as professional or medical advice. I encourage viewers to critically evaluate the information presented and form their own opinions based on personal experiences and values. I do not require agreement with everything discussed and suggest viewers respectfully disregard what does not align with their own beliefs. My goal is to inspire open-mindedness. Diverse perspectives are welcomed and valued.
The podcast with Amitabh Swetta starts in 3, 2, 1. Why did you commit suicide?
Very nice. It's a very amazing question to ask from, who was that guy? Logotherapy, no? Right? I will not answer that question because I don't need to commit suicide.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll give you my purpose of life. What you're asking via that question is very, very important. That's what logotherapy is all about.
Right.
That's where you're coming out from that question. Why don't I commit suicide? It is basically because I want to show the light of consciousness to the world.
Lovely. What is consciousness?
Your prime matrix of your being.
What is meditation?
A tool to understand yourself.
How would you get started with meditation today, considering the knowledge you have right now?
Okay?
Yeah.
How would I start? How would I start is basically slowly, steadily, anywhere, any place, anytime.
Okay. Shall we do a meditation session right now?
You can, surely.
Let's go for it. Do you want to guide it across?
Absolutely, I can.
Please. Pleasure.
Perfect. Just sit comfortably. No postures which are unrequired for yourself.
Okay.
Posture that is comfortable
4.
and a posture that you can remain still in for a very long
Is it okay? It's comfortable.
Absolutely. Okay. There are no restrictions as far as your posture is concerned. You should be comfy, firstly, and you should be still in these next 3 to 4 minutes to come.
Okay.
Okay. And when you have assumed your posture, close your eyes. And welcome all the sounds from the outside world and let them not disturb you from this very moment onward. And just gently awareness of your breath, breathing in, breathing out naturally at this very moment. Nothing forceful here, no focus involved, no concentration involved. Just a gentle awareness of your breath. Just be here in this awareness of the breath for the next few moments to come. Just maintain this natural flow of breath. And now take a breath in, exhale, and just pause. Don't take the next breath in again so hurriedly. Inhale, exhale, and pause. Prolong the next incoming breath. Inhale, exhale, and prolong the next incoming breath. Inhale, exhale, and wait. Become aware of this pause between the two breaths. Inhale, exhale, becoming aware of the pause between the two breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Be aware of this pause. Inhale, exhale. Watch this pause between the breaths. Breathe in and out. Become aware of the pause between the breaths. Inhale, exhale. Awareness of the pause. Inhale, exhale. Watch this pause. Inhale, exhale, and watch this pause. Continue to breathe in, breathe out naturally, prolonging the next breath coming inward. Keep watching this pause between the breaths at your own pace. Continue the practice. Keep watching the gap between the two breaths. And taking a few deep breaths now. Come back into the outer world from your inner world. Just gently, gently open your eyes. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
I'm all the way.
Why should anyone meditate?
For clarity of the mind, much better decision-making capacities, much better problem-solving, better emotional states, better mental states, an expanded state of being that can make you perform much better in the world outside of you.
There is one word which we often get to hear when meditating, which is Om. Does that connect to the Hindu mythology somewhere?
Not at all. It's the, see, if we go into the expansion of consciousness and energy into this entire universe, we all are frequencies. And the frequency that is originally was there before the creation of this universe itself is known as Om. And it has 1,008 meanings to it as well. So it is not about Indian mythology or anything like that. It is the sound of the universe. We know this as Nada Brahma. Nada means sound. Brahma is the entire cosmos itself and the creation of cosmos itself. And to hear this sound, one can meditate and you'll hear this sound happening to you autonomously as well after a few months of practice.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And that when you tune into that sound, there is a specific frequency available to us, yeah, with which we can connect to the energy and consciousness of the entire universe and make our minds very, very still and centered as well. You will hear it after a few months of practice.
I look forward to it.
Absolutely.
That means I'm very much inclined on adapting to meditation as a daily practice.
For sure, one should, because what exactly happens is we have to understand this. We take care of the body. We go to the gym and everything like that, and we take new courses and things like that. But how many times do we look inward and just notice ourselves? How are we doing? Meditation is a proper check on yourself also. How are you doing inside of your own self? That's what meditation is all about.
Procrastination is something a lot of people struggle with.
Right.
How does meditating impact procrastination?
By being in the moment and being in totality with the moment, you can avoid procrastination. Now, I'll ask you a question. People who procrastinate keep things away for a later time, correct? And then they keep thinking about it non-stop. Oh, I have to do this thing, I have to do this thing, I have to do this thing. Or in the back of the mind, that keeps continuing as an internal dialogue inside them.
Right.
Okay? I ask you a question. If you did that task right now, at that very moment, and did it and finished off with it, will you have this dialogue running behind you, stressing you out that I have to finish this, I have to finish this, I have to finish this?
No.
So finish the job in totality in that very moment when it's required to be done, and then absolutely and totally relax without having any stresses onto the mind. No?
But
Meditation gives you this viveka or this discrimination that I need to do this right now. I will do that, finish that, and then I'll absolutely and totally relax. And that relaxation is somewhat very beautiful, you know. So I suggest people do that. Take a break, relax.
as you mentioned about how much do we look inward, right? Right now, in this world, we talk a lot about data.
Right.
We compare data to being the new oil.
Absolutely.
Right. But we are so much data starved where it comes to our own self. I think that's what you meant when
I would say we are in an information age, right? You are consuming information. Nearly about, it's a scientifically proven fact that on social media you're consuming about 3.5 lengths of a football field of information on a daily basis. See, consuming information is absolutely okay. That is the data itself. Consuming that data, it's absolutely okay. But imagine your computer now, okay? In this computer, there is a hard drive. Yeah, I take this human brain like a biocomputer itself. Let's take that analogy and look at it this way. It has a hard drive known as the brain. The brain is accepting information, and then we do not process this information. Information, when it is processed and practiced, becomes knowledge, and then becomes wisdom on a longer terminologies. So, let's take your computer for a matter. If you're loading a lot of information and data again and again and again and again into this human biocomputer of yours, it has its own capacity. Correct? Just like a hard drive has a capacity. Let's say it's a 1 TB hard drive, 1 terabyte hard drive. It has its own capacity. If you fill it up at 99.9% of its capacity, that hard drive on your computer, will your computer run properly, or will it have glitches? It will have glitches. So this emptying process, the emptying of that non-cognizable data, emptying that out on a regular basis is very, very important. And that's what meditation gives us. To process this data, what you have taken, what is useful, you can keep. What is not useful, you can remove.
Eliminate. Exactly.
That happens with a specific word is known in Sanskrit, known as viveka. Or in English, if it's translated, it's known as discrimination. What to keep, what not to keep. This segregation of information, of data that you are processing inside of yourself happens, the segregation of what is useful, not what is not useful, happens with meditation. So you can empty that hard drive of yours and run this brain of yours in a much better perspective.
Understood. You have spoken a lot about Shiva's Vaikvikyan Bhairav Tantra,
Right.
where I believe, which is a technique of developing insight into consciousness.
Absolutely. A direct, what I may call it, is a direct recognition of the origin of the matrix of the mind.
We'll come to it.
Yeah.
Now, where Vigyan means consciousness.
Vigyan means knowledge.
Okay. Bhairav means a state which is beyond consciousness.
Beyond man's mind.
Man's mind. Okay.
It's the consciousness itself.
Okay.
Knowledge.
And the Tantra means the method of going.
Methodology. Exactly.
Okay. Now, first of all, I want to again ask you, what is this consciousness?
Consciousness is everywhere. It's an openly laid secret in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah. Scientists have, of course, tried to delve into it. First came the consciousness of the mind is creating consciousness, or consciousness is creating the mind. But we know for a fact through Vijnana Bhairava Tantra's practice and a direct approach and a recognition of what exactly that consciousness is, that consciousness comes first, then appears as a mind. Okay? This consciousness is all around you, inside of you as well and outside of you as well. Okay? I would like to quote Rumi out here beautifully. Rumi was a beautiful Sufi poet, and he said something very amazing. He says that consciousness sleeps in minerals. Look at a rock. Yeah? It's holding itself together. Energy is holding atoms together in that rock itself. Yeah? But what gives it the ability to hold itself together is known as consciousness. So it's sleeping in this rock. Okay? This consciousness becomes, it's dreaming in plants, if you see. If you see a plant, it knows where exactly to fetch its water from underneath the roots. It knows that. It knows where exactly the sunlight is as well. So the plants start turning towards the sunlight. It knows. That is consciousness. It's knowing that it's consciousness. It becomes self-aware in animals. Take a cat who's meowing right here, right now. Huh? It's self-aware. If you shoo it, it gets scared and runs away for its own protection. It knows this, that that I exist. So it's self-aware in animals, and only in us human beings it's realized. How it is realized? Because we are talking about it right now. A cat or a dog will not question consciousness. So it's like an openly laid secret in front of you at all moments of time. If you say, if fish could talk, okay? And if you ask a fish, hey fish, how's the water today? Fish will look around and say, what water? Consciousness is something like that, openly laid in front of you. It's all around you. The entire cosmos is filled with it. That is consciousness. Not only inside of you, but outside of you as well. It exists. Your entire reality depends on this consciousness.
What is beyond consciousness? Beyond man's knowledge, as you mentioned?
If I gave you all the answers, you won't find out. And I leave that journey to you, my friend, to find out. To have the direct recognition of it. And the practice of that direct recognition is known as the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra.
I suppose it has 113 techniques?
112 plus 1. Plus 1 because what we say is when Vijnana Bhairava is said to be told by Shiva directly to Devi, after listening to these 112 techniques, she was very, very tired. Me and you also would be, Yeah. So she goes off to sleep and she wakes up and says my Lord, enough of all these jargons and everything like that. Give me one technique that will consist of all the 112 techniques. So that plus 1 technique is just hinted at the end of this very, very ancient text.
Is it the lotus thread?
No. That technique is only given by masters to disciples when they have mastered a few other techniques.
There is a quote which goes like, sleep is unconscious meditation and meditation is conscious sleep.
No, I wouldn't agree to that. Because both the states are coming out of the same consciousness that is existing as the matrix of your reality. Sleep is also coming out of there, so it's not meditation because you're unaware in sleep. Yeah? In sleep, you can never be aware. And in meditation, you need to remain and maintain awareness. Just like, maintaining awareness in the gap between the breaths, what I talked about.
Right.
So you need to maintain awareness. And when the awareness is lost, you can go into what we know as murcha avastha. Murcha avastha. It's like, you're sleeping. And meditation is to awaken yourself from the sleep that you're experiencing.
When we talk about Shiva, there's often in paintings as well as some art, other types form of arts.
Yes.
There's a third eye concept that is talked about.
Right.
What is that?
Okay, that's the scientifically, because I'm a man of spirituality and I'm a man of science as well, for that matter. So I don't go beyond the world of science as well. There is a specific gland known as the pineal gland. It's at the center of the brain where your spinal column meets the brain itself. It's at the center of the brain. This is a tiny little gland which has optic nerves, just as if these two eyes have the optic nerves. Okay. That tiny little gland also has optic nerves. And that is inside of you, inside of me, inside of Shiva or Buddha for that matter. It's inside everybody. And this specific gland, which is a pea-sized pine cone-shaped gland, has been known as the seat of the soul in many, not only in the Indian cultures, but also in many different cultures all around the world. If you go to Rome, for that matter, in the Vatican, you'll be surprised that you enter and there is a 2-story pine cone shaped sculpture out there. Okay, Buddha's head right here. You see, it looks like a pine cone. This, even if today you want to try this as a hairstyle, and if you go and say like, give me a hairstyle like Buddha to your hairdresser, it will not be possible. This is a depiction of that pine cone. Shiva's Rudraksh is a depiction of pine cone. His third eye, which has the same optic nerves as these two eyes have. These two eyes are to look at the world outside of you. That eye is to look at the world inside of you and all around you in a 360-degree viewing angle. And it is that pineal cone or the pineal gland is known as the third eye itself. So it actually exists. But it stays dormant unless and until a few practices are done properly. And wakes up when you give it attention.
You went to Osho ashram?
Yes, I was there for about 2.5 years of my life.
What is Osho?
Osho? He's an ocean of consciousness. That's what Osho is.
Okay.
He was far ahead of his time. He was all-inclusive as far as talks are concerned. He's all-inclusive as far as his methodology of meditations are concerned as well. It's really, really beautiful to understand this human being on a deeper perspective. What people understand him as only through wild, wild country and things like that. But that is 3 years of his life, 30 years of his life. What he has given to the world is valid today as well. And specifically for young people, it's very, very amazing because he says religion is like an opium to the masses. And through meditation, if a person does meditation and our generations do meditations regularly, we will not require governments also in couple of generations after. Because everybody would be so amazing as far as their thought processes are concerned, their deeds are concerned, and that animal inside of us who's always like, in greed, and I want this, I want that, and all those fluctuations will go away, and you'll arrive as a true evolved human being. That's what he said. He gave meditations to the world. That's what Osho is he gave spirituality in a way that you would experience freedom and individuality. That's what Osho has given to the world, I would say.
In one of your videos
Right.
on YouTube, I don't remember which channel was it, you mentioned when you went to Osho ashram, you got interested as well as confused in spirituality.
And then the first time I did Vipassana, that was.
Okay.
I did Vipassana at Nasik in their center, near Trambakeshwar. The first time I went there, I came out more confused than I went in. I didn't know what was happening, what was the silence and what was it doing to me. But the second time, Goenkaji was alive at that moment of time and he was facilitating that class. He told me, I went up to him after the 10 days of silence and I said, I'm still as confused as I was before. And what should I be doing? He said, keep practicing. What has been given to you, keep practicing and come after 3 months. See where exactly you are. And he did have a point. And I kept practicing. Because as a human being, we are all explorers, experimenters, and experiencers. And one should be that as a human being in its real nature. So I experienced something very, very special in those 3 months. And specifically after I went for another course, it was really amazing. So yeah, it made me more confused than I was before. But it did it has to be like that, all this data, what we talked about some time back, has to be processed, no? It has to be, some of that data has to be deleted as well. And once that data got deleted, I knew the glory of meditation. I knew the bliss of meditation immediately after that. So the practice later was important. A lot of people, what they keep doing, They'll go to one ashram, go to one course, they'll take information from there, and then that all information is never practiced. So that information, when never practiced, does not turn into knowledge. Forget about wisdom. It doesn't even turn into knowledge. It remains as information alone. So practice takes you in that process of making that information to knowledge, to wisdom.
And what is spirituality? What is spirit?
The energy that runs you as you are.
And what is spirituality?
Being aware of this energy and being aware of this consciousness that's running us as who we are.
So you mean to say that there is something else that is running us?
No, only two things run you. Energy and consciousness. There's not something else. That is your inherent being. To be in touch with that inherent being of yours as consciousness and as an energy is the spirituality.
Is it related to any religion by any chance?
Pardon me?
Is it related to any religion?
What do you mean?
Is spirituality associated with any kind of religion?
It's beyond religions. It's ever encompassing. So we have a saying in when I study the very, very ancient texts of Trikatantra, as we call it. There's a saying in Stava Chintamani, my Lord, in that specific sutra, it's saying, you, consciousness, are the trunk of the tree. Everything originates from you. 1,000 branches grow out of you and 1,000 roots go out of you. What should I deny? And what should I accept? When consciousness is everything, there is nothing left to deny. That is spirituality. It's not associated to any religion because you're accepting everything. You're accepting Islam, you're accepting Christianity, Judaism, you're accepting Sufism, you're accepting Sanatana Dharma, you're accepting Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Buddha, you're accepting Nanak Ji. You're accepting all. That acceptance of, yes, the origin of it all is that one source known as consciousness and energy. That is spirituality. It's not connected to any religion. Yes, every religion has specific ways to understand what I'm saying. Yeah? Like take your Vedas, Upanishads for an example. They take you there as well in understanding it. But to have a direct recognition of it is another ballgame altogether.
I have a very interesting question, right, which I feel is interesting because often there is a lot of awareness generally about spirituality. Now even I have some sense about spirituality. How to utilize it for my benefit, for my advantage?
What are these advantages are you talking about?
Or let's cut the advantage part. I think when I say utilize for myself, it means for something good. So how to utilize spirituality?
Self-realization equals spirituality. Everything in spirituality and the practices of spirituality will take you towards becoming aware of who you are intrinsically as the energy and consciousness, as I just said. With that, with practices, specific practices, if you do under a proper guidance, not from YouTube Academy, though we are recording this for YouTube, don't go towards YouTube Academy for these spiritual practices. Go to a proper master, work with them properly. What they tell you, follow through. And what will come out of that? If the master is proper and good, he will give you only two things. Awareness first. Okay? A master always takes us to the truth.
Okay.
That truth lies in the practice of awareness. And from awareness, what blossoms out of it is bliss. Bliss. Which is way different from these upheavals of, I am happy, and then the next moment I'm sad. Again I go, I'm happy. Again I go, I'm sad. It's separate from that. This bliss is separate from that. And when you come into the ocean of this bliss with that much of awareness, you can handle this entire world very beautifully with that bliss. Everything becomes a divine experience. Even writing of your email, becomes a divine experience. I'll tell you how. In Zen, they have a saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, fetch water. After enlightenment, chop wood, fetch water. So what changes here now, my friend? That's the question. Before that, chopping that wood, fetching that water, you were complaining, like, why am I fetching this water? Why am I chopping that wood? But after knowing the truth, that all becomes a play. Leela, as we call it, And you will play a game with yourself in a funny way, like, okay, how can I write this email in a much better way? How can I perform much better in my meeting? How can I be completely and totally be amazing as a human being? That's what comes to you. And that all comes with grace that flows through you.
Interesting.
Right?
So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. What is the role of Tibet in spirituality? I think there's something called Tibetan bells.
Yeah. Tibetan singing bells. What is the role of Tibet? There is a vast role of Tibet in spirituality because in Tibet, Kailasa.
Okay.
Originating from there itself, it goes into India in totality, where Rudra becomes Shiva and then Shankara. When he comes down, he becomes the Shankara. So Tibet has a very beautiful role because, there is so much of beauty, which is unbridled in nature in Tibet itself, firstly. A lot of people have achieved enlightenments in that land as well. So it makes it a very, very powerful place. A lot of Buddhist and Shaivite scriptures come from the land of Tibet itself. So it's a very special place. It's known as the Sahasrara Chakra of the world. Sahasrara Chakra, the topmost energy center where consciousness funnels into you, it is said. So it becomes a very, very interesting place to look at as well. But as far as you were asking about Tibetan singing bowls, singing bowls are very, again, sound is vibration and vibration is energy. It's all related to each other. And these singing bowls, the healing from singing bowls can be done on placing the bowls on a human being or keeping them around it and gently stroking and going around and round and round and round on it. And it creates these vibrational vortexes of energy, which can really, really improve a human being's well-being for that matter. So yes, if that was the question you are asking, then that is the answer to that.
So is the root of all problems the spiritual ignorance?
Absolutely. Ignorance of who you are originally. See, this mind is playing here and there. It gets experience from the 7 openings of the head. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, and 2 of your ears. Vast amount of information is taken from there. We process that information, which leaves imprints onto us, known as samskaras, better known in English as conditioning. It lays conditioning onto your mind through an experience. Yeah? What attaches you to certain things? Let's say chocolate. I love chocolate. An experience of that eating chocolate is pleasurable, which attaches you to that experience. You hate Karela. Because when you eat it, you're like, this is not a good experience, so you hate experience of eating a Karela. So this has left an imprint on your mind right now. And this imprint which is there on your mind which is constantly playing with you at all points of time in your reality. Yeah? So leaving these imprints and deleting a few of these imprints which are not useful is very, very important for us.
Spirituality is all about awareness.
Of who you are.
And what
So we were coming to that ignorance which got left out. Yeah. Now, truly you are consciousness and energy, and a gamut of all both those things together with each other. They cannot be separated. Energy cannot be separated from consciousness, and vice versa. What we have to understand here, you are originally that, but this mind keeps playing games and makes you forget who you are. That is the ignorance, as we call it. Avidya, or ignorance. Once you realize who you are, in totality, and you have a direct experience of it, you'll never be out of that, ever.
is it possible to understand myself completely?
Absolutely. That's what I said. Only through practice, a direct recognition. We call it pratyaksha pramana. Pratyaksha pramana. Direct evidence of who you are as a being is available to you. But we get engulfed in our daily chores, forget about daily practices. Like, you should exercise on a daily basis. You should take care of your, you should meditate on a daily basis. You should introspect on a daily basis. You should learn some new things on a daily basis. When we are not doing that, you should be creative as well. When you're not doing that, you're taken away from your creative being, and you become this very dull human being who's only work. Work becomes a part, which becomes your life, which is actually a part of your life. So you leave that and you don't recognize yourself, who you are. That is ignorance. And meditational practices do take away that ignorance.
The mindset of work is worship. Is it against or is it with
Not at all.
the spiritual ignorance?
No, work is worship. See, we differ. A Shaivite Trika Tantra practitioner differs from the entire world of renunciation. Yeah? We say in this life, everything is divine. My work is also divine in nature. My relationship with my friends and my family is also divine in nature. Why should I leave all this? Tantra is that. We're talking about spirituality, and I'll go specifically towards Tantra. Tantra is for the daily being who's working, who's doing his own chores of his work and things like that. For them to realize the self is the technology of Tantra which is available, which does not say you have to renounce this and you have to renounce that and leave away from the world, become an ascetic, and you need to live that life in a certain way. No, all humbug. You can do everything that you want to and still get the divine experience from writing even that tiny little WhatsApp SMS for that matter. That is Tantra for you. No leave to live anywhere because you are already that consciousness and energy.
A lot of people believe the feeling of discontent in life,
Right.
the feeling of chaos in life
Right.
is very important part of measuring how alive you are against your about. Do you feel the same?
Do you see a butterfly flying by and stop and admire its beauty?
Depends. If I'm in a hurry, I won't.
So stop. Don't be in a hurry. Life is unfolding any which ways, but you can't. You have to stop and admire beauty of this nature, of this reality.
Gratitude?
Just admire it. Gratitude is a very big word also.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to admire the beauty at least. So stop, admire, and then move on. Just for a second or two. That butterfly was so beautiful and it gave you so much pleasure. flying by. So this discontent is basically within ourselves because we feel we are empty somewhere. And when only with that direct experience, when you know that you are absolutely full of consciousness and energy, there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing empty inside of you. You're already full. That's the key. You have it all already. Just that ignorance is taking you away of that you're having anything right now inside of you.
I'm just admiring silence. Does spirituality also say that I don't exist, you don't exist? It's just a soul that's changing structure.
It's like that we are living in an illusion called Maya.
Maya.
Right? So here, the Tantra practitioner like me differs from the Advaita Vedanta, as we call it.
Advaita Vedanta.
Advaita Vedanta is another way of spiritual ascension as well. So where we have to understand that Advaita Vedanta says this is all an illusion, this body is not real, this mind is not real, leave the body, leave the mind. Okay? And we have to understand at this moment of time, to even say to yourself that I am not this body, I am not this mind, this body has to exist and this mind has to exist. And if it was an illusion, then you would not be sitting here. You'll be transgressed completely. The thought process of I'm not the body, I'm not the mind should be left completely and replaced with saying I am this divine body, I am having this divine mind as a tool to operate and to experience this divine reality. If we change to that, there is no fight left, no? If I keep repeating, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, but I am this body. This is my reality. I exist. I'm taking in information, processing this information and putting it out there. That is my reality. Mind is a tool that has been given to me. So, when we discard this fight, that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, you'll keep fighting with yourself. Stop the fight. Spiritual ascension is not about fighting with yourself, it's about surrendering to your own self and the reality that is around you. Accept this as, wow, be in awe of it. Feel great, like, that it's unfolding in front of you this very moment. Yogamayi vismayo bhumika. When this union happens to you, that I am this energy, I am this consciousness, and I am this body, and I am this mind. When this union completely happens, you'll be in an awe of this entire reality. Not discarding anything. Accepting. With grace of the heart.
Do you believe in non-duality?
Non-duality is a very amazing Advaita Vedanta, as we call it. Advaita means non-duality. No Dvaita, no dual.
Okay.
What does that mean? Basically, you have right hemisphere, scientifically, right hemisphere of the brain, left hemisphere of the brain, which is always battling between logical and creative thinkings and things like that. And because of we having these two hemispheres of the brain, we think in dual ways. This is good, that is bad. That is a good deed to do. This is a bad deed to do. This, that. All this duality, all this judgment that you are processing inside has to be left so that you become Advaita. Non-dual means mono. My Trika, not mine, but our Trika Tantra philosophy is a monoistic approach, non-dual approach to experiencing this reality. Advaita is a very beautiful way. Though, like, Trika Tantra, Trika Kaula, and Advaita, though it parts ways for a little while, then it meets back again. And then it'll part again for a little while and it'll meet back again. So as I said before, my Lord, you are the trunk. 1,000 branches come out of you, 1,000 roots go below you. Who am I to challenge anything?
While researching about you,
Yes.
I realized you have been through a lot of experiences.
Right.
Like let's go back in the journey.
Oh, absolutely.
You started something called Purple Fitness.
Purple was a gym that I opened up. So my education is Masters in International Sports Science Association. I have a Masters in Fitness Sciences.
Fine. And then you realized there's much more beyond physical fitness,
Yes.
as in spiritual and mental fitness.
So and actually, it's a very interesting story. I went through a breakup and I had a proper, I used to lift heavy stuff that time. And I used to do a 350-pound squat. So I had a breakup. For 6 months, I couldn't lift that weight at all. Yeah. I said, there must be something beyond this body which is running on in my mind, and I'm helter-skelter in my mind. And that's what I recognized at that very moment, that my mind is taking me away from my lifting of those kind of poundages. That's what it began with.
A normal person would think this made you transform into a spiritual person, but you instead went and became a psytrance DJ.
Oh, I've always been a psytrance lover. I think it opens people's consciousness. Dancing abundantly. You can express with music where you're not stuck anywhere. Music has a very, very beautiful way to understand ourselves as well. And let go, that abandonment completely, does make you recognize that, I'm free as a human being. At least for those moments where the dancer disappears and the dance remains.
Oh, that's a good statement. I never looked at it this way.
Yeah.
The dancer is gone, but the dance is still present. Lovely.
So yeah, music has been a very, very enlightening journey for me always. And I like to take people through that enlightening journey till date, actually.
Triptone.
That's the moniker I have as far as my psytrance world is concerned.
You like to listen to Beethoven, Mozart,
Absolutely.
even Ravi Shankar?
Absolutely. I take music as very, very essential because also Trika Tantra also says, it has some Vijnana Bhairava, in fact, says that listen to a string instrument, my beloved, and realize. The stringed instruments are very, very near to and dear to Shiva's heart, And so I love all the instruments for that matter, but stringed instruments are something which I absolutely adore the most.
So what would you tell me about me as a person if I told you that I love Tony Akkar's music?
Okay, I haven't heard him.
Okay. Tony Akkar makes like a really cringe music with no, physical, no specific content. It's just saying some random stuff, again and again and again.
Right. Well, if you love it, love it.
Okay. What would that tell you about me as a person?
I wouldn't judge, It's your choice. Individuality and freedom.
Lovely. You've built a car.
I have raced cars, yes.
Raced cars.
I've built cars, I've raced cars in my life, and I really love that competitive edge. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine last week. It said that you know, man, Spiky, his name, one of my best friends. I said, I want to get back into building those cars again. And I'm thinking of buying this year. I'm thinking of buying an old Honda Accord V6 and souping it up and make it a nice, fast and furious track day car as well.
You have built a bike as well?
Yes, it's standing outside right now.
Lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful machine piece.
So paint as well?
I do paint as well. I create music as well.
Create music, which shows a lot of creativity.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people who are creative as defined by their career.
Yes.
Okay. And they like to correlate with psychedelics.
Okay.
How is it related?
Psychedelics, I would say, do not use them recreationally, use them therapeutically. And they can do huge amounts of improvements into your state of consciousness, current state of consciousness. But it has to be, it has a lot to do with set and the setting as well. And I'm pro psychedelics, let me tell you this. Yeah, they really, really opened my mind up. And at a very young age of 16, 17, 18, I used them quite a bit. And then I realized that, they were just gateways where, they are just gates to altered states of consciousness. And beyond this known consciousness, a lot exists. Beyond this known consciousness, that was what the Maya and illusion, what we talked about. To break through this matrix of consciousness, you may use psychedelics, but that is not the way to move in the longer journeys. Take your psychedelics maybe once in 6 months. Yeah? Use those psychedelics properly. Introspect on that as well. Dance to abandonment as well. Lose yourself completely and totally using of psychedelics. But then reintegrate back with your own being with meditative practices. That is the key of using psychedelics properly.
What does it do to us humans?
You use about 7 to 8% of your brain currently.
Okay.
Usage of psychedelics can, specifically like ayahuasca, LSD, DMT or 5-MeO, DMT and things like that can really, really wake up the sleeping neurons of the brain.
Okay.
So where you're using about 7 to 8% of your brain, for that periodic time, you would be using about 14 to 15% of your brain. And then coming back to 7 to 8%. But these new neurons which have opened up in the brain, new pathways which have opened up in the brain because of new experience, we may call it neuroplasticity as well for that matter. So when they open up these new possibilities for you, you come back from that experience and you can apply that into your daily creativity as far as your work is concerned as well. But to center yourself, because psychedelics will also tend to distort you for that period of time. You can't stay distorted in that trip all the time. Yeah, you got to come back and integrate yourself. That's where meditation, along with psychedelics, can go a long, long, long way.
Lovely. How would you differentiate relaxing from calming, from feeling calm?
You may be, your body might be relaxing, but your mind can be helter-skelter everywhere.
So it is like a physical and mental.
Calming is for the mind, relaxing is for the body.
So does psychedelics help you conquer both or any of those?
I wouldn't say so. Meditation does.
Okay.
Gives you relaxation of the body as well and the mind as well. Only, I think meditations do that. Psychedelics, in fact, will make your mind race a lot during that period of time.
You mentioned about ayahuasca.
Yes.
I also got to know, I don't know if it's true or not, but you spend quite some time with the shaman of Peru.
Yeah.
And I don't know what ayahuasca really is or what shaman.
Ayahuasca is a plant medicine It grows in the jungles, Amazonian jungles. Basically, it's a vine. Yeah, vine which creeps above other trees. The bark of it and a few leaves known as chakruna, yeah, are mixed together, created into a brew, which can give you very outer body, inner body healing experiences.
How do you consume it?
In the presence of a good shaman, you consume it.
Okay, so what is the role of shaman?
It's a brew, which is a liquid, tiny little, maybe 20 ml, 25 ml the shaman gives you. And you consume it, and it starts taking its effects. And you go into a very, very deep state of purging firstly. You may puke as well, because so many emotions and dirt that we have kept inside ourselves has to clean up, no? Ayahuasca helps you clean up all that. Yeah? So you'll puke and you'll have these visions and things like that. It's very, very psychedelic in nature as well. While giving you those psychedelic experiences, ayahuasca, this entire nature is very, very intelligent. And this ayahuasca as a medicine is very, very intelligent to move into your DNA structures as well, to cleanse the information that you have stored and which is not required for you to be stored. So it can really work in a very, very amazing way. But again, let me go with the caveat immediately. People look at ayahuasca as a spiritual bypass. Yeah, that I'll do that and I'll feel enlightenment. No, it's temporary. If you want to expand that state and be established into that state of that experience, you again need to meditate.
So what is the role of shamans?
Shamans are the ones who are opening the portals and the gateways for you to express with their music. They play music, like my beloved shaman Herbert Quinteros, for that matter, from Peru. He and me are like brothers, and his role there is to facilitate the journey for you properly through his music, through icaros that they sing, or the songs, healing songs of ayahuasca that they sing, which come out into the ceremony and make the space more vibrant with energy, and it facilitates to you to be healed completely with those songs as well. That's the work of shamans.
So would you call it like a divine add-on to your experience of having ayahuasca?
Being with a shaman?
Yeah.
Do not have ayahuasca without a shaman. Do not even try it. And search for a good aboriginal from that land, and don't even look like, kind of that they have a saying, gringo. Don't look, gringo means the American who came to do ayahuasca ceremony, who after staying in those jungles for 6 months, declared himself a shaman. Don't do that. Search for an indigenous shaman for yourselves.
What has helped you the most in achieving focus?
Meditation.
I hear you can go to samadhi state while meditating. What is that?
Very, very easily. Samadhi state is a complete absorption into the original matrix of the mind that is known as the consciousness itself.
Tell it anymore. Because somebody who hasn't felt that.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Amazing question here, Barry. Because you have to realize, even if you start meditating regularly, 7 to 10 days also, a kind of samadhi is available to you. We call it savichara samadhi. Memory with thought absorption, or samadhi with thought absorption. Thoughts are there. and still you are in a altered state of consciousness, even if those thoughts are running into you. That's available for everybody as soon as they start meditating. So samadhi is not something that needs to be achieved after that many years of practice and everything like that. Samadhi is available to you immediately also. With 5 days, 7 days of practice also. You'll start entering these very, very tranquil spaces. Thoughts are there, but you're feeling absolutely tranquil. Savichara samadhi. Then comes savikalpa samadhi after that. Vikalpa means a process which thought you have to keep and which thought you have to discard. That discrimination is also available in a meditation. That is known as Vikalpa Samadhi. That also is available to you. Now let's say you're meditating, you have a picture of Om that you're visualizing, or you're you are aware of your breath, let's say. And suddenly a thought comes, cow. Suddenly a cow appears in your, behind your closed eyelids. A cow appears, and then you have a context of a cow happening there. And you suddenly say, no. I need to go back to my breath. So you had a vikalpa there. You understand? You had a choice there whether to keep that cow in your mind or whether to get back to that letter Om or the breath awareness or whatever you had. You had a vikalpa there. So those two states are available to you any which ways.
I relate with this so much.
Yes.
Because when we started this podcast,
Yes.
we did a small meditation session.
Right.
And so I experienced what we now call Vikalpa.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll tell you more about it, right? I've been in Bangalore for about 31 days.
Right.
To be precise.
Right.
Okay. And, there was something, there's a hypermarket next to my house.
Okay.
And whenever I used to just feel like chilling, I used to take a walk with some good music on in a hypermarket because there's all lighting, all cleaned up, everything around you, something that, can pick out anything and start consuming it, right? And in that hypermarket, I was walking, I came across a stand which had a lot of bottles, like 200 bottles,
Okay.
Stuck on a hook.
Yeah.
And those bottles I noticed had a fish. Each bottle had one fish.
Ah.
So they were selling live fishes. And I was just blown. How could, I find live stock, live fish in a hypermarket? So I approached to it. As soon as I'm approaching, I just look at a fish. Or maybe my amygdala noticed a fish. And later on, I again came on there and that just, clicked something in my mind. I just picked it up and I bought it out. Now, I recently booked my flights back to Bombay, and today morning I spoke to the airline. Thing was, I have a live fish.
I need to carry Goldie with me.
Yeah, I have named it Alumni.
Okay, I have to carry him with me.
Yeah, I spoke in the exact words. It is a small fish which does not need an external oxygen machine, which is kept in a container which is like a bottle, exactly like a bottle with just one hole. So even if I smuggle it, in my bag, covering it up in a steel bottle, you won't even figure out that bottle has a fish. But I would take consent from you. I wanted to know what is the procedure of taking this fish to
Bombay. Yeah.
And the lady was from the agency I booked the app from, the tickets from, sorry. She told me, sir, let me do one thing. Let me just get back to you in 5 minutes. And I've never seen any application call me leniently in 5 minutes. I got a call back in 5 minutes. She told me, I'm so sorry, sir. I checked with the airline. They're not allowing to travel with the fish. And I was like, oh shit. And then while meditating, I mentioned cow. This fish came in my mind.
There you go. So whether you keep that into your meditation or you get back to your breath awareness is a choice that you have given. That is known as Savikalpa Samadhi.
And I think when I was thinking about that fish, I was just holding the breath, focusing on the breath.
Yeah.
And then when you again, you called out, take a deep inhale, then I just
So you were in the state of Samadhi, then you had to come out.
Yeah.
Right? So there was an altered state of consciousness available there also. So easy, no? Yeah. We think like, Samadhi I'll achieve some after years and years together. No, it's available to you now. From here where you'll go, like, you're meditating and you like, oh, everything thought was gone for a while. No, it will happen. Thought is gone. That discrimination of thoughts is gone. And now you start entering, oh, I'm meditating. Wow. That, when it appears, it's known as Asmita Samadhi. That also happens. I'm meditating. Then comes, after you've meditated for 10, 15 minutes, like, wow, this is feeling so good. This tranquility feels so good, is known as Sa-Ananda Samadhi. Absorption, meditative absorption with bliss. It feels so good. That's bliss. Yeah. So these 4 stages of Samadhi are available to you anyhow, anywhere, with a very, very little bit of practice. 20 days, 25 days, you can achieve it.
Okay. So if you're doing the same thing, but while being engaged into a physical activity, right?
Yeah.
That may be walking, that may be, cycling.
Okay. So
Wouldn't you call that procrastination?
No. Why would it be procrastination? When you have to meditate, you meditate. When you have to write an email, you write an email. Okay? When you have to become aware of the breath, you have to become aware of the breath. That also is kind of work that is put in now. Meditation also is work that you put in for your own betterment of your own mind. Don't procrastinate for that also. That's what I say there, and I'll do it later. Why? So, essentially in Trika Tantra practice, we call it Kriya. Bhakti, Jnana, Kriya. That's what Trika, 3. Okay, Bhakti is the surrender to that energy and consciousness inside. I'm not telling you to go to any mandir or come and touch my feet or anything like that here. Or anybody else's feet for that.
Right.
But having a gratitude towards this consciousness and this energy that runs you as you are is known as Bhakti. Simply. Let's not go towards the ritualistic practices for a while. If that is required, we can do that also. There is no harm in that. Go to a mandir if it makes you feel good. Go there also. I'm not saying no to that. But essentially, if you don't want to do that, at least pay gratitude towards that energy and consciousness that is Bhakti. Then comes Jnana. Taking in perfect knowledge from a master who's already learned, been there, done that. Who can become your mentor and take you there. So mentorship is from the, to get Jnana, you need mentorship. Third is known as Kriya, or the action that you take to realize yourself who you are. Kriya, people think okay, I sat down for meditation for 20 minutes odd, and coming out of the meditation, I'm done for the day. Shaivite Tantra says, no. That meditation, what we did some time back, that watching the gap between the breaths can be done anywhere, anytime, any place. What do I mean by this? You're sitting at a desk right now. Can we just go take 12 deep breaths like that and become aware of that pause between the 2 breaths? I'm not telling you to breathe in and hold the breath and go black and blue, but breathe in, breathe out and watch that pause.
Yeah.
Breathe in, breathe out, watch that pause. Every hour, we have a beautiful technology called those smartwatches are there, no? You can program it to tell you 12 breaths every hour. This is known as yoga in action, not yoga of action, yoga in action. Let's say you're traveling from point A to point B in a cab. Instead of going to your useless social media feed, go to this breath. Eyes open, eyes closed, doesn't matter. It's going to take you to that same energy and consciousness. Let's say, if you are flooded with work, you don't have focus and concentration at that very moment of time, just take 12 breaths like that. Yoga in action, that is Kriya. Continuously, keep doing this breath practice and see where you go. As an experiment on yourself, give yourself 2-3 months and just become aware of that pause between the breaths and see where you soar.
I have a question, right?
Right.
Now, meditation, yoga,
Yes.
spirituality, practicing spirituality,
Right.
all of these things are on the calmer end of your sense.
And
Okay. Now, people at my age, they like to party a lot.
lovely.
Okay. Normally, people at my age spend their weekends all cast them into alcohol, or maybe apart from that, some things,
Yeah.
and that is something opposite, which is not calm.
Well, amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll stop you here for a second. Because Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, as I said, Tantra is for the practitioners, Tantra is for the people who has work, who has friends, who has family. You don't have to renunciate anything. Vijnana Bhairava says in one of the sutras, Shiva explains Devi. And my beloved, he says, maintain awareness in that intoxication as well and realize. So Tantra does not take you away from consuming a little bit of alcohol. Please do. Feel free. It's a spirit at the end of the day. That's why it's a spirit. Now, alcohol is a spirit.
Okay.
To look at it at that, I'm not promoting drinking out here, but drinking with awareness. Even Buddha talks about Madhyama Marga. No complete renunciation, no complete hedonism. Madhyama Marga. Whatever you do it with awareness. Whatever you do it in moderation. Key is that. Do you want to drink that much that you puke and fall into a gutter? What's the point? And then wake up with a hangover the next day and curse yourself. Why do you have to do that? Have 3 drinks, 4 drinks. Drink it slowly. Enjoy yourself. Don't feel guilty inside. When having that drink, enjoy that drink completely. My Guruji used to say, Ruche bo pache. Most people, what they do now when they're drinking, oh, I have so much work tomorrow, why am I doing this, that guilt they hold inside. It destroys you. Do with moderation and do it with awareness and do it for your enjoyment. When you do that, you'll see yourself drinking lesser as well and enjoying yourself more as well. Why can't we do that? There is no renunciation of anything. There is no going away from anything here.
But I think when people consume alcohol and they're partying, that is not a calming or silent activity.
Oh, when celebrating, celebrate. Osho, I'll quote Osho out here. When celebration happens, then celebrate. When meditation, then meditation.
No, but I think some part of your personality when you're partying,
Yeah.
that is even there we're not partying or not drinking. Okay? So often you feel like you have to make a switch to your personality in order to go to that calmer end and meditate.
Forget your personality.
Okay?
It's all a conditioning that you have this kind of a personality. You asked me, we discussed about my creativity, so many aspects. If I told myself I am only good at painting, I'll get stuck. That's my personality. When you move out of the personality, then you see the limitlessness of your own true being that you are. Don't label yourself. By labeling, you are limiting.
I love this, labeling and limiting. I've seen people or myself do this often with their degree.
Absolutely.
If somebody is doing masters into, say, computer science,
Right.
okay, but they don't want to pursue engineering in their life. They want to move.
So many engineers we see going out, taking MBAs in branding and becoming a brand management guy. Why do you study that?
So I think they start defining themselves
Absolutely.
by a degree name.
Right.
It would be so weird for
You know what we are speaking about? Shaivism, the Trikatantra Shaivism calls it Mala
Voila.
or Maya.
Okay.
Maya is you limiting yourself that I am this. By labeling yourself, you are creating an illusion about yourself to you.
Beautiful.
Leave all that. Leave that like badge that I am architect, I am engineer, I am doctor, I am this, I am that. You are multiple things right now having a divine experience. Explore. Do what you want. Individuality, what Osho gave, individuality and freedom. Swatantrata. We call it in Shaivite Trika Tantra, we call it Swatantra Shakti of Lord Shiva. The consciousness does not limit itself. The mind is limiting itself. Be limitless and you will break Maya. Break all this illusion that you are been holding on to at all points of time.
What do you think about God?
Consciousness is God.
Are you a yogi?
Yeah.
Are you a saint?
Saints, sinners are for the minds with duality.
So what is the difference between a yogi and a saint? Or sant, as we call it?
A yogi is a guy who practices yoga. Methodologies of yoga is known as yogi. A saint is the one who has transcended and knows what exactly he or she is. He's like a saint is, I may call it, like the sun in the entire universe giving it light. That's a saint. But then we go to saints, and in a few years we realize that even my heroes had clay feet.
Okay. That very well makes sense.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Hold on, don't hold on.
Yeah.
You having that consciousness is a God man yourself. You are the God man yourself, and you are that already. You are that saint already. You just fail to recognize that saintlyhood inside of you.
Let's dive into my favorite topic.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you on?
Absolutely.
Perfect. There's this word called, and yoga or spirituality gives a lot of importance to that word. Even you mentioned that word a lot of times in our conversation so far. Enlightenment.
Right.
What is it?
To recognize your true nature is enlightenment.
How do you
To
feel
be in bliss is enlightenment.
all the time?
All the time you can remain in there.
Even
Where,
low times?
where the fluctuations of life will not be a turmoil anymore to you, or elation to you anymore as well, for that matter. How may I call it is enlightenment makes you. It's not a sudden event that happens to you.
Okay.
With your practices, it gets layered. And suddenly you look back one day and say like, no, man, that Amitabh, which was so bothered about every small little thing, died along the path somewhere. This Amitabh is not bothered with all that and has come to the center of the cyclone, where it's always peaceful. Everything is happening around. The whirlwinds are there. Enlightenment is about finding that center in your being. I was this. These winds are sweeping you by. That remaining in that center at all points is enlightenment. Remaining in that bliss of that tranquility is enlightenment.
Even during low times?
There are no low times. Your mind makes you believe there are no times. There are only teaching times. That life is teaching you something.
Do you feel you were enlightened?
Yes, absolutely. People have asked me that, like, how can you say so blatantly? Isn't there ego there? No, I say, like, no, I know who I am, what I am. And I don't want to keep it hidden in myself.
So does it keep growing as the day passes?
Absolutely. I still, like as I said before, chop wood, fetch water, chop wood, fetch water. The practice was there that time as well. Practice still remains as is this time as well. Nothing has changed, but everything has changed along with it.
So is it like a cumulative efforts towards meditating, towards
your yogic practices, towards your behavior, towards your awareness of entirety of it, your gamut of living together. Like, when you eat food, what are we most of the time we are going to the phones and not even tasting that food, man. What do you earn money for? Like when you're enjoying yourself, your mind is somewhere else. No, are you at the center of it all, enjoying this entirety?
still living in the moment?
Very much. Living in the moment and living in totality in the moment. Not only living in the moment and make it pass by, but living in totality in the moment of this conversation completely as well.
How do you look at death?
As life's true reality.
So according to you, the life's true reality is
Death.
Is that directly related to time?
Time seems to exist. It does not.
Okay.
Why? Consciousness is everywhere. At all points of time, it's always there. Yeah? Energy is everywhere. At all points of times, it's already there. Science always says to us, the energy can't be created, neither it can be destroyed as well. Same can be said with consciousness as well. It cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed as well. What gets destroyed in the process are the cellular systems, which are 37.4 trillion cells working together in unison. That starts slowing down. The new production of these tiny little beings that make you, new production of it stops. And that your time gets over in this body. But who is in this body? The energy and consciousness are in the body. They cannot be destroyed. They are timeless.
So why should anybody care about enlightenment?
They shouldn't actually. But at least be at peace with yourself. Remain centered with yourself. Process can be that. And that's an ongoing process, my friend.
Till now, I was thinking that the ultimate truth to life is time. And I used to relate time directly with death because when your time is
We'll talk about it.
exhausted,
Take a mosquito for an example. It lives 24 hours. Its lifetime is 24 hours coming out of the larvae. Yeah? That is 100 years for that mosquito. Your life is 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, let's say. But it's the same for the mosquito also living only 24 hours. At one circle of the earth, it takes and it dies. For it, that's 100 years. That's why I said time appears, seems to appear, seems to exist. It really doesn't.
well,
You have to overcome time with understanding the nature of consciousness and nature of energy. Kala, as we call it. Kala. Kala is different from each species. A turtle can live 300, 400 years. Its movements are slow, you see. If you want to transcend time, transcend your breath. Longer the breath goes outward, more you will live.
So if there is no time, then what is it?
It's just a construct in your mind.
So for me personally, time has been that one of those macro factors to measure and function in my everyday life.
Right. Go on to Jupiter. Let's say if a man lands on Jupiter, one day will be worth maybe 8 months till it takes rotation from one point to that same point again. That will be a day of Jupiter. How would you calculate time there? So it's relative, no? In nature. That which can stretch and contract cannot be the absolute truth.
But I cannot possibly go out of it.
Right now you're saying that. Meditate for about 8-10 years and then tell me.
Okay, we'll get back to this. So if not time, what is your, for me it has been, one of the macro factors to function and measure things on a day-to-day scale. What has it been for you?
For me, the sun rises. I wake up with the sun. Sun sets, and after a few hours, I go off to sleep. Meanwhile, whatever is happening, I'm going through the process of life. In this entire center, have you ever seen a watch? No. There is no clocks. There are no watches. Nothing here. I don't even know what time we started and what time is it right now. I just know that the sun will set in another half an hour, 40 minutes.
So time is just the breakdown of that period to explain something.
Yeah, because we have constructed it. It's through the rotation of the earth also. Time is created through the rotation of the earth. We have divided it into 24 hours and sun rises to sunsets at 12 hours.
Because
it's a concept. It's a concept, which is a very valid concept.
Okay.
Time is a very valid concept. It is happening. But actually, in a depths of space, there is what?
So is it
Let's say you go into outer space. Sunrise and sunset will happen every 30 minutes, brother. As you rotate around the orbit of the planet itself, it will happen every 30 minutes. If you live, astronauts notice this. When the space station goes round and round in circles, they have sunrises and sunsets happening every hour or so. Or every 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that is. But they experience this phenomena of timelessness in space.
So is it like a concept introduced by humans?
Introduced by humans with the gravitational rotational.
For our convenience?
For our convenience.
Because when I was coming here initially for the first time to experience float and Lucia light,
yeah,
the lady on WhatsApp, she asked me, what time would you like to book the appointment?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. We have a concept of time. We have made it for our convenience.
Convenience. That's it, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. Now it makes sense, much more sense. Now, let's talk about something that you mentioned only once in this whole conversation, something called Guruji.
Yeah.
I hear when you were in Mumbai, after you went from Goa to Mumbai, you met a guru.
Yes, I did.
Or 10 more?
Amazing human being. lived in 2 BHK apartment somewhere in Dadar, in Mumbai, and he was a chartered accountant, lower level chartered accountant, working in under a very huge chartered accountancy firm, very simple human being. We used to wake up in the morning, do his work on himself, go out into the world, do all that work, come back, and then once in a week on a Thursday we used to meet, and he used to teach the concepts of Shaivism and make us read the texts and everything like that. And he stopped taking students at a point of time. When he became 60, he stopped taking students more. So last batch was luckily me and about 35 people of us when we started. And after 12 years, in 2020, only I remained.
Only?
I remained.
Oh.
Other had dropped out. Yeah.
What is the biggest takeaway from group?
He showed me the methodology to realize myself perfectly, step by step. At a point of time, there were visions where I thought I was like going absolutely cuckoo, you know, because those experiences can make you question your sanity also. And he said, okay, no problem. It happens. You're on that path. This is the state you are in. This is where you have to go. Leave that. Don't be fearful. Don't limit yourself. All these things, like, you know, he kept on saying these things and taking me forward and forward. That is the nature of a mentor or a guru, for that matter. It was very, very essential in spiritual practices. Like, and that's why I keep telling people, like, you know, don't try these things out of YouTube Academy. Find yourself a proper mentor and a master who's loving and who's gentle enough, yet very firm and strict enough, who takes you there.
What incentive did he have?
He used to charge me money for his courses. To make his life, he used to tell me, like, I charge you money because I have to go on with my life as well. Food costs me money, this electricity costs me money, all this costs me money, and I have to pay for it. I have 2 children, 1 daughter, I have to get her married. I need money for that. I will take money from you. He was clear about that. So money was never an issue.
I suppose you were kind of close to him for a long period of time. I also came to know, I don't know if it's true, but when he passed away, his wife called you to inform.
Yeah.
And you started laughing.
Yeah, because I know he's back at the source. No?
Oh.
How can I cry if somebody's back at the source? This body, like, this beautiful gentleman Buddha here, he said life is full of suffering. I disagree with Buddha here. I say life is full of awe. Yeah, but when you get back to the source, when this body dies and your consciousness and your energy are back at Vileena, we call it. It gets transmigrated into the subtle planes of your being itself. It's dissolved. And when you are at that source, then you don't have suffering, no? As far as this body, this mind, like, no? I have money, that, I have this problem, I have that problem, I have this problem, that problem. No, you don't have those problems anymore. That's why you laugh at death.
I've seen very extremely few people who laugh at somebody close dying.
Yes.
What mindset do you have about that?
As I told you, when somebody is going to the source itself, how can you cry? Why do cry?
Because you wouldn't be able to feel the presence of that human being, or
the problem is here where, like, you're going to miss that person. But that consciousness and energy, what was inside of him, forget the body. That consciousness and energy, what was inside of him is inside of me as well, and is inside of you as well. It was inside of Buddha, Krishna, Shiva, Christ, Muhammad, Guru Nanak. It's there same. Every human being contains that. And laughter has to come out because, like, I'm not going to miss the body anymore. That physical presence is not going to be missed. He's there as that consciousness, as that energy. Then what is there to be missed? There is nothing to be missed here. Nothing to be felt sad about. Equanimity is achieved with self-realization. In his life, the truth of life is death. And if somebody has gone towards that truth, my father expired in 2015 and I had a smile on my face. He was a saintly man. I still had a smile on my face when I was giving the Agni to my father. I said, thank you, take it. Thank you for being absorbed into that. This is a lot of check.
So is being sad about somebody close dying?
Be sad. In totality, be sad. But death is the reality. It's a ticking time bomb. You're living as well. I'm living as well in this body.
But there's no time.
Ticking time bomb, I say. It's a bomb which may go off any moment. Every breath that you're taking, your time bomb is ticking. That's the reality. Have more gaps between the breath and see how you live. So would you like a proper scientific explanation to that?
I would love that.
Yeah.
Because
How
that
can you
is-
live more?
I am.
How can you live more with lesser breaths? How? Breath feeds you what? Oxygen. Correct? Your red blood cells contain hemoglobin, which is made out of iron. Mix oxygen and iron together, what happens? Iron rusts. Lesser the oxygen given, lesser the rate of burning, rusting. People wonder how these yogis used to stay alive for 150, 200 years. Lesser breath is the key.
So, is that true?
Yeah, but breathing consciously. In, out, and then pause. You've been having a lot of pauses sitting and recording here. In your breaths.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
This is the yoga that is happening right now.
Okay.
Suddenly the mind goes very tranquil when in those gaps. It stops for a moment. So the energy you produce is through thought also, no? More breaths you will take, much more, see, people take very, very shallow breaths and more breaths. So there is more effort required. Correct? By the body.
Okay.
Yeah? More effort required means more energy you are being spending. More energy you spend, lesser you're going to live. Lesser the energy you spend, more you're going to live. That's the key equation.
So I think the state of missing someone comes only when you have some moments worth remembering with that being.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of moments, mind you, with my father, with my guru. I have a lot of moments which I remember them by. Like this moment. You're remembering them, right? And remember them. But remember them not as sadness, but as moments of happiness that they gave you.
But now what if you
do feel sad for a point of time. Till a point of time, you will feel the vacuum of them not being in existence in their body. You will feel the vacuum of missing them. But realize one thing, tomorrow I die. Okay, maybe for a month you're going to remember me. After a month, even my spouse will watch some television, and if there is a comedy series happening on that, she's also going to laugh, buddy. If a joke is good enough. Don't hold yourself into sadness for too long. Don't hold yourself into happiness for too long. Be in the equanimous state of bliss all the time long.
But now you realize that you can't have those moments anymore.
That's okay. Acceptance of it. That brings you to grace.
And I'm guessing that acceptance, the nature of accepting that.
Accepting that is the nature of accepting life as it's ticking you by, you are actually dying. Acceptance of death as the ultimate reality will make you go away from sorrows that come from death.
I have a question that is not taken to that. I think that I have now kind of moved to a mind check. After, realizing what it really means, as you explained, because, you told me that when somebody close dies, eventually after 1-2 months, some people take longer to move on, accept, but you are going to laugh at some point.
9 days, people start forgetting you, brother. 9 days, your best friends will start forgetting. And then moments to moments, springing will happen. Often, Amitabh na was so amazing, yeah. He said this, and then he'll forget for 24 hours.
Then Amitabh,
We are forgotten.
what is this ego about in humans?
Ego, na? Ego, what do you mean? The word ahamkara means aham akara. The limited I consciousness is aham akara or ahamkara as we call it. But then there's another word in Sanskrit known as asmita, where we talk about yourself. Na? Like, I am like this and I'm like that and I'm this enlightened being, I am this and that.
I think it's more of ahankara which I'm talking about.
Aham akara.
Aham akara, my bad. Aham akara.
That is the limited I consciousness what you have.
That
Your body is the akara. It has a shape. Yeah? It has akara where the I resides. Because this body and its shape is there, consciousness is there inside that. But it is constricted and limited in nature. That is ahamkara. When it becomes universal, when with meditation you expand your consciousness, it becomes universal consciousness. That is known as true yoga or state of samadhi, as we were talking about some time back. When that happens, you lose the limitation of this consciousness and you become the universal consciousness. From limited I consciousness from Jiva to Shiva.
Oh, Jiva to Shiva.
From this limited I consciousness to a cosmic, all-prevailing consciousness moves through you.
This is a very personal question that I'm going to ask.
Yes.
Feel free to say no.
Absolutely.
You mentioned you've had some good experiences around acid.
Yeah.
I also came to know that you have been into a float tank after popping some acid.
Yeah. I'm an explorer. I'm a psychonaut.
What were the thoughts like then?
Oh, it was absolutely beautiful. You start to integrate, you start because on LSD, what happens is your thoughts become very, if you're having one thought, you'll have 20 different ways to go about. But the meditation experience, I could maintain one singular thought for a very long period of time in that float tank or sensory deprivation tank. And so much so that the thought dissolved into itself. And a nature of pure consciousness was very evident at that very moment of time. But also sometime it starts getting disintegrated and you start to become disintegrated completely inside the flotation tank, and you lose the sense of the body, and the mind has already gone into its own matrix. So you might have to reassemble yourself coming out of the tank, because those experiences are 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours in the tank at least. from onset to come down. So you have to come out, reintegrate back for a while, have some water, eat a little bit of fruit or something like that to from that state which was ever expanded state. You have to come back, then go back in again, then come back, then go back in again, and things like that.
If you had the ability to go back in time
Right?
and witness any one moment live,
Yeah.
that can be the apple falling on Newton,
Yeah.
anything, what is the moment that you would like to witness?
The birth of the universe itself.
Interesting. What do tattoos mean?
Permanent marks of temporary insanity.
Oh, that's the closest meaning of tattoo I have.
What else can they
Ever-
be?
yeah.
Look at this, like, I have a Bacardi bat,
Okay.
which was tattooed, like, when Bacardi came into India, and I didn't know that was a Bacardi bat, but I tattooed it. Permanent marks of temporary insanity.
Now let's talk about one thing, which is something experienced often at people my age.
Right.
Because I think this age of being 20, 21, 22 is a very weird age to be in. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Okay? Because you are not even a proper adult and you're not even a kid.
Yeah.
Okay? You can call somebody 17, 18 a kid. Okay?
Can.
But I would not call somebody who is 20, 21, 22 a kid.
Right.
And I would not even consider themselves.
To be a fully grown human being. Yes. Yeah. Specifically with us men, by the way.
Exactly.
Women become women by they are 18.
Yeah.
We men remain as boys till we are 45. I'm 45. I'm going to turn into a man now.
So this.
So I'm still a kid. I feel still like, I'm like a tiny little child who is in awe of this entire world when it comes to birth. I look at the world like that still. And one should look at the world like that always.
So I was having a follow-up question, right? So at this age, you want to feel or enjoy solitude,
Yes.
but getting to that point includes a lot of loneliness.
No.
No?
I'll tell you what. Interesting here, because you use both the words in the same sentence, but in a very opposite context.
context,
Okay. Loneliness, okay, it comes on to you.
Okay.
You don't choose it, right? Solitude, you can choose. Being alone, let's say it's a coin. Being alone is a coin. On one side of the coin is the tails of loneliness, which is the contractive part of it. Okay, contraction. You feel contraction when you're feeling lonely. But solitude, no, is the grandeur of being alone. It's a luxury that you give to yourself. That is known as solitude. And I don't want to be connected with my friends. It's Saturday evening, they are out partying. I choose to be with my own self today. I do what I want to do today. Maybe that is playing a PlayStation 4 game or whatever that may be. Or creating music or just sitting and watching your Netflix or meditating for that matter or reading a book for that matter. That is solitude, that you are choosing for yourself. It has a grandeur, sense of grandeur about it.
I think nobody wants to feel lonely.
Absolutely.
Okay. But the fact that majority of people who feel lonely don't feel solitude.
Because it's another ball game altogether, no solitude.
So how do you
You
convert
choose to
that
be. You
loneliness
choose.
to solitude?
Then, you don't convert anything. If you're lonely, feeling lonely, go out, socialize, make friends, join a class, learn some guitar somewhere or learn drum somewhere, go into a group activity. You can choose to be that. Find your tribe if you're feeling lonely. But solitude is when you want to disconnect from all that that is happening around you, too much of feeding of information from all ends that is happening around you, and centering back within yourself to do what you like with individuality and freedom is known as solitude. So if you're feeling lonely, go out there. There are many, many places, many, many groups. Like, we have 1,000 Petals out here. We meet like-minded people and go meet like-minded people. There are so many ways to go do that nowadays. Don't be lonely. Don't feel lonely. You're not lonely. There are many like you. You're not lonely. Just choose to go out there and meet those like-minded people. There are many activities with which you can meet friends and make friends and be with them. Choose to do that. But if you choose solitude, that's another thing altogether. That's by choice. Loneliness is not by choice.
How do you define loneliness? Just curious.
You've gotten isolated. Many friends have left you. Let's say I'll give you an example. Okay? You have a friend circle and you are the oddball in that friend circle. Everybody you're not that social as a being. You're not that outgoing as a being in that group and everything like that. And sometimes you are left alone in some experiences that they are doing.
Okay.
You'll feel lonely then. If you're left alone by people, you'll feel lonely then.
Okay.
But when you choose to be alone and away from all that noise that is happening around you, that is solitude. No?
So instead of the social beings around you saying no, you say no to them.
Yeah. You choose.
Fair enough. Well, there's one interesting insight about you which I noticed, right? I kind of wanted to do this podcast on a Monday,
Yeah.
but someone from your team told me that it's not possible.
It's not possible to reach me on Monday.
Yeah, because you don't speak to anyone on Mondays. Why?
Solitude.
Oh,
I choose.
No,
There you go, that's the grandeur of it. On Mondays, I'm just off all the information. I'm off TVs. I don't even read a book. I stay within how much ever I can meditate on that day, I do. For maybe 12 hours, 13 hours. But now I have a child and a wife as well. So that I choose to be with them. Yes. That is my solitude now. Being with them is my solitude.
I think that was a good connection.
Right there. Immediately.
What has been the biggest influence in your life?
My mother. She's amazing. She's 84 years of age. Strong as far as the body is getting weak, but the mind is still very illuminated by her being.
I think for everybody who have grown up with their parents, fortunately,
Yeah.
they are, even if they don't want to believe that, but they are influenced. The major influence in their life is by the parents because they have spent.
And it should always be.
Yeah.
It should always be your parents who come first. They have given you the birth now. You're their anshan. Both of them coming together and that one tiny little cell becoming these 37.4 trillion cells because of them. So you have to understand here that gratitude towards your parents is the most important key here. Though they might be imperfect. I was raised very in a disciplinary environment. Very, very strict and disciplinary environment. But so be it. Discontent.
So, Amitabh, if all of us are a very tiny creature on this planet or galaxy or
Or the entire universe. You're just an atom vibrating.
atom, so what do we feel angry for?
I wonder what we feel angry for.
I mean, is it
We hold resentment, anger, jealousy, greed, all these things within ourselves, guilt within ourselves. Stop doing that. The nature of this entire cosmos is inside of you. It runs through you. It runs you who you are. How can you not be in awe of it? How can you not be in gratitude of it?
absolutely?
Why to hold all these things? We call it Pashu,
Pashu.
animal.
Okay.
The one who has not recognized himself is known as Pashu, still an animal. The only one, when you recognize yourself, when you know yourself, then you transcend from being an animal to becoming that human being that you are, who's realizing the consciousness inside of us.
And only humans can do that.
Yeah, as Rumi also said, no, some time back I quoted him in the beginning, that only consciousness becomes realized only in human beings. That's how we can talk about it. So don't be an animal holding on to all these things and animal also, I see cats around, no? A lot of them. They're marking their territories and things like that. We are also as human beings doing that only. Countries and things like that. And all that. We are also doing that only. A cat just pisses and marks its territory. You go with weapons of mass destruction. There is no difference between an animal and you. Either you either we have to recognize ourselves as one humanity. That's a utopian thought process, of course, I know this. Very utopian thought process, that one humanity. How would we function? One governance, one humanity. Without the aspect, though I teach ancient school of Sanatana Dharma, it tells you straight away, don't hold anger for any other dharma. But still, politicians, religions are only spreading hate at today's day and age towards each other. Religion does not, but human beings are. Leave all that. Be at peace. It's not so difficult to be at peace. Recognize other human being as a human being. Don't try to claw them and pull them down. Make them also go towards grace, and you will also move towards grace with it. Uplift them. Uplift the humanity. That's your true nature. That's your purpose. Upliftment of the entire humanity, if possible. But you asked me that question in the beginning. Why don't you commit suicide? Yeah? From this conversation, I think I've given you enough to light that lamp of consciousness in a lot of people. That light that I have shared with you. And I'm sharing with the entirety of all these who are watching this video as well. Grow and be that light unto thyself.
What is your opinion on sex?
Absolutely necessary. You and me wouldn't have been here talking about it if that was not for sex. Okay. But again, don't be a pashu or an animal, be a conscious being in performing that act of sex as well, because that is the difference between you and an animal.
Yeah, we saw that outside.
Right. Absolutely.
That poor cannot heat.
Yeah. She's not on heat. The boy is on heat.
Oh,
it
okay.
seems.
Yeah, seems.
She's running away from him, and he's running after her.
Yeah. So why do a lot of people who are deep into spirituality, do meditating, who go into caves and want to settle there for,
Hey, show me one cave, I'll go there, man. Nowadays, where are the caves?
not nowadays, I don't know, you might know better.
Yeah, but now we have the urban caves.
Okay. No, my point being is, a lot of people in past also, they have gotten rid of every social thing that their man or
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. Why? Because if you're involved in the world outside, it will leave its impressions onto you. That's why they used to go back to the caves and take these ascetic moves. But at a point of time, Tantra recognized what was happening. Abstinence from this, abstinence from that, cut contact. And then I just read somewhere the other day by Baba Ramdas. If you think you are enlightened, go stay with your family for a few days. You come back into the world outside and all that will be lost. You can remain in this world without going into caves and without absconding here and there. You can still be in total contact with the divinity inside of you.
No, but if sex, all of us realize is necessary, why have the humans been in a position where they just leave that?
You don't need to leave it.
No, there have been cases, no? We look at
They are a delusion of if I abstain from sex, it'll give me a much better spiritual experience. It's not that so.
Third. I have 3 last questions for you.
Right.
Number 1 is, what is that one opinion you have that you think most of people will disagree?
I don't have opinions, bro, about others.
No, not about others. About anything. I'm not talking about you, particularly the human being. I'm not talking about myself or him or...
I can't point that out, right?
I give an opinion that, some might say there should be dictatorship. That is the opinion, right? And a lot of people might not agree. I'm just asking you in that sense, what is one opinion you have about anything in life that you think a lot of people will disagree with?
Can't put quite to it right.
Okay.
If I can't be spontaneous, I won't be able to answer it right.
Okay.
If it makes me think too much, it's not worth it.
Cool. Second question.
Yes.
I don't care about anybody who is watching the video. I wouldn't want you to give advice to them or everyone in general.
Right.
What would your advice be to a person like me?
For you, I would say practice regularly with your meditative states, and do what you want to do. Be an individual and be free as a human being. That's all I can tell you to be.
Yeah.
Don't label yourself. Don't restrict and limit yourself, ever.
Now, in these 2 hours, we spoke about a variety of concepts. Okay? We spoke about meditating, we spoke about enlightenment, we spoke about spirituality out of other topics. Now, why don't you tell the viewers, I already know, because I am sitting right here in 1000 Petals.
Yeah.
Okay? What are you doing here in 1000 Petals that will help them in this journey of meditating or spirituality?
So 1000 Petals is where science and spirituality comes together. Where people's yoga ends at asana pranayama, we begin from there. Pratyahara, which is moving inward from the senses through the sensory deprivation tanks. Dharana, or techniques to center your awareness. Dhyana, meditation, to take you towards the state of samadhi and absolute and total bliss. That's what 1000 Petals does. My other work, which I host online classes and everything like that, my actual Trika Tantra's work is known as Shiva Shakti Vigyan. SHIVA, Shakti, Vigyan, VIGYAN, Shiva Shakti Vigyan, where you can follow me, follow my posts, follow my writing. And if you want to do a course with me, you can feel free to do a course with me or something like that and see where exactly this conscious and energy is perceived for yourself as a direct recognition of it as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Could any book or resource or that you want to recommend to our viewers who want to explore?
Right now, I would just suggest, I have upcoming courses all the time. Join one of the courses. Rather than taking information from the books, directly when you take it from a mentor, you'll recognize and you'll realize it much faster. Just alone books won't work. But I would suggest one book to you, which is known as Tava Chintamani, Crown Jewel of Devotion by Swami Lakshman Ju. Okay? Start with that book. If you want to understand a little bit about what this consciousness is and you want to get into devotion of this consciousness, go towards that. I would suggest that book to start off with right now.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Seeing it.